All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Terence Crawford never got that Manny Pacquiao fight. Now we know why. Or I always did know why, and I always believed a lot of this about mini fights. But thank you, Camron Dunkin, who is the trainer of Jaron Ennis, former manager of Mikey Garcia and Terence Crawford, for letting me know exactly why it is and giving me a word to use, which is NBF. No black fighters. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Manny Pacquiao versus Terence Crawford is a fight that could have been made at Top Rank. It is a fight that Bob Arum had claimed in recent times that he was trying very hard to make for Terence Crawford. So many people wondered, well, why didn't you make it when you had them both at Top Rank? That is a question that was answered by Bob Arum. And, you know, one of the times when he was saying he was lying yesterday, but today he's telling the truth. Well, the other day when he was telling the truth, one of the days when he was telling the truth and he wasn't lying, he said, the reason that fight didn't happen is because I killed it. Me and the matchmaker, he said the matchmaker, me and the matchmaker knew what was going to happen, so we didn't allow the fight to happen. That's what he said. That's what Bob Arum said. We knew what was going to happen between Manny Pacquiao and Terence Crawford, and we didn't make the fight. Now, keep that in your mind. And then let me explain to you what NBF is and how Camron Dunkin explained it. NBF stands for No Black Fighters. And it was written on the bulletin board or a chalkboard in the offices of a significant matchmaker in, I have to believe it was around the 1970s, 1980s. But, you know, because people like to, whenever they talk about things where people with color in their skin are being mistreated just because they got color in their skin, people like to always put that way in the back. It was 100 years ago. It wasn't today. You know what I'm saying? Never happens today. You know what I mean? Never happens today. It was always yesterday, right? The world is perfect right now. But 3 weeks ago, we was, you know, doing a bunch of stuff. So anyway, NBF stood for No Black Fighters. And the matchroom and the matchmaker said that, look, here's the problem. Black people are too athletic. And so we can have these really good fighters. Our fighters are going to be good, but they're not going to be good as them because naturally they're just better. That's pretty much what he said. Now, what's the explanation that Camron Dunkin gave for it? He drew an illustration that I think is ridiculous. Personally, ridiculous. He says, hey, go to any street corner and ask some young black man to throw a jab. And he'll throw the jab. Chris will snap it out, snap out a jab real crisp. But you go ask another guy, you know, a European guy, the same thing, and he'll look like he's about to fall over stiff and all that. You know, look, man, that is all funny, but it is all not true. But it is all absolutely the big R word. Okay? It's the big R word. And why is that? Because you are making distinctions on people solely because of the racial classification that you put them in. Without seeing them, without talking to them, none of them. It says no black fighters. None of them. And they won't match them because they're too physically gifted. That, my friends, that's the R word. That's what that is. However, let's now look and compare that to what Bob Arum said about why he didn't make the Terence Crawford Manny Pacquiao fight. He said, my matchmaker and I, who had no black fighters written on their wall, the matchmaker. Who did the matchmaker work for? He worked for Bob Arum. Right? A long, long, long time ago, according to Camron Dunkin, there was a matchmaker and they all worked for Bob Arum because it's Top Rank. Top Rank has been one of the top promotional companies for the last 50 years, 2 years before I was born. Okay? So for over 50 years, 2 years before I was born, that's who he's talking about. That's who he works with. But a long time ago, the matchmaker did that. But now Bob Arum is saying, It's the same thing about a fight between Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao, and that, my friends, just happened a couple years ago. He said, my matchmaker and I knew what would happen in the fight, and we didn't want to see Terence destroy Manny Pacquiao. That's what Bob Arum said. Bob Arum said the same thing that Camron Dunkin is saying that the other guy said. We know the outcome of the fight. We are not going to make the fight. No fight like that for Terence Crawford. So now, Bob Arum, after Manny Pacquiao leaves, has been running around talking about how he was trying to make the Manny Pacquiao fight. We're in negotiations with Manny Pacquiao. The fights are getting closer for Manny Pacquiao. Well, why didn't you make the Manny Pacquiao fight for Terence Crawford when Manny Pacquiao and you guys were together? Because you didn't want Terence Crawford to beat him. That's why you didn't give him the fight. Because Bob Arum violated his no beat NBF rule because he thought he had a size advantage that could offset it between Guillermo Rigondeaux and Nonito Donaire. Well, after Nonito Donaire, who is significantly bigger than Guillermo Rigondeaux, lost, what happened to Guillermo Rigondeaux with Top Rank? Nothing. They never let him see that. He never let him see air again. And what do they hit him with? Boring. What is boring about that? See, not to take it off a little, I got to take this conversation just a little impromptu. Think about that. The matchmaker is telling you why the fight's not being made. Because the guy's too slick, he's too athletic, and he can beat my fighter. Do you think that's the reason that they gave to the press? For the reason that those fights weren't being made? No. What they were saying is he doesn't sell tickets. They're boring. They're too technical. They're boring. Nobody knows them. They don't sell tickets. Say after they do the no black fighter thing, they then slander the fighter and put all the blame over on them when it was always about that to begin with. And that's what it was about with Manny Pacquiao. You saw Manny Pacquiao getting fights. He'll get a fight with a fighter that's over the hill. Right? Now, if you know who that fighter is, and they're like, okay, this is Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley's a big name, but Shane Mosley is years past it. We see him, we're getting reports out of his training camp. He's not handling this well. He's not handling that way. And plus, we're going to have this dude juiced up. So it's like, man, come on, man. Come on. Which is why Terence Crawford need to get out of there, man. Terence Crawford need to get out of there. Get somewhere where somebody will give you the fights that they want to see. Think about what this means for you, Terence. Think about what that means for you. You have Josh Taylor coming up right behind you. You've got Jose Ramirez coming up right behind you. You got Teofimo Lopez coming up right behind them into 140, dude. And you're in BF with Josh Taylor, homie. You in BF with Jose Ramirez, homie. Okay? They could feed those fighters to you. Does anybody think Bob Arum is about to feed Josh Taylor to Terence Crawford? No. Why? Because he's going to beat the brakes off of him. That's why. Do you think Jose Ramirez is talking about wanting to fight Terence Crawford? Do you really think that that Bob Arum wants Jose Ramirez to get mopped up by Terence Crawford? No. So who is Terence Crawford? What is Terence Crawford with the championship belt? What has he been able to do? Has he been able to get any big fights? No. No. Are they going out of their way to make fights with the PBC? No. Why? Because NBF, dog, you might get beaten. They didn't just say NBF against NBF. They might sign a black fighter and still go NBF on you, dog. Who knows, man? It is just, seriously, I'm really happy that Fred got that interview. Shout out to Fred, because now it's just so, that should clarify the picture for everybody. Now, I ain't letting Camron Dunkin off the hook on that, though, okay? Because Camron Dunkin was telling you, hey, yeah, we used to screw over black fighters all the time. That's what he said. Yeah, man, we wouldn't make fights with black fighters. Come on, man. We walk in there and people be like, you want this dude to fight? Heck no, he ain't fighting that dude. He's going to lose. You know what I mean? He's a loser. He's going to look bad or something like that. Nah, we don't want him. So what are we going to do with him? We got this good fighter. Well, move him up in weight class. You know what I mean? Nah. Oh, I'm not going to have. Oh, now I know these times ain't the time frames aren't right for this. No, I'm not going to have Vasily Lomachenko fight Hank Lundy. He's too slick. He's too big. He's the same size as Vasily. He's the same size, he's the same speed. He's slick and awkward. He could beat Vasily. No, I know he can make 135. No, he can't. I'm not giving that fight. I give him a fight at 140 against Terence Crawford, though. And you know what I mean? We make some money over there because he ain't beating Terence Crawford. And that gives Terence Crawford, that satisfies my requirements with Terence Crawford. But anyway, that's my take on the matter, man. You let me know what you think in the comment sections. And with that, I am out. Peace.